Welcome to the fourth episode of the Real Talk podcast, a roundtable discussion where we talk to REA customers about the latest trends, insights, and events in the real estate industry. My name's Nathan Gallagher. I'm a sales leader at REA Group. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about generating leads and winning business. And I'm thrilled to be joined by Blake Schultz from Colliers, Shiv Nair from Ray White T&G, and Isabel Ross from CBRE as they share their insights to the residential, commercial, and developer markets. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today for the podcast. We're just going to touch on a couple of questions. And the first one, I might cut to you, Blake, for this one. Then we'll go to Shiv and to Isabel. Talking about leads, what are the top three things you do to generate leads?
Yeah, no, interesting. So the top three things we need to do is, first of all, have a strategy in place. And by that, I mean understand who the buyers are before we've got the plan to go to market. Once we understand the buyer, we then need to draft the media plan, but also put that timing in place in regards to the strategy to make sure that we're hitting the market at the relevant times to get those qualified leads.
Cool. And Shiv, the residential space?
Yeah, for me, I would definitely say a strong focus in marketing, followed by consistent prospecting through the team, and then a heavy focus on community involvement as well.
Beautiful. And Isabel?
And similar to Blake and Shiv, I'd say consistency, but also with the active, in the market, making calls, keeping in contact, but marketing is very important.
What about, we talk about leads, maybe online platforms. What online platforms do you use to generate leads, and any offline tactics you also use? I might go with you, Isabel.
Yeah, so online we of course have web listings. I'd say important for us is our database at CBRE. So email distribution frequently is quite important. We also have been using some of the social media platforms for our projects. So kind of Facebook, Instagram, targeting there. And then offline, of course, we've got our, signboards, our referrals, just, the typical business of real estate relationships.
Shiv, online, offline?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's quite similar as well. There is a heavy focus on online. So from online platforms, moving on to social media marketing, database, and then, the traditional print media as well. But yeah, it is definitely a full approach with us.
It's just on that. Is the offline marketing still going to be relevant, do you think? Is there a place for it, Shiv?
I think through the years, there's less and less we are using the old traditional print and offline method. I think online is definitely gaining momentum each year as well. With us, I would say 80% of all the marketing we do is through online.
Yeah. And Blake?
Yeah, I think all of it has a place to play with projects, particularly in the project marketing space. I think it's important to break down the different strategies and campaign, the different elements of the campaign. Going out to our database is critically important, and nurturing our past buyers and those buyers on the database when we're leading up to the launch in that sort of off-market phase. But then we definitely have to kick into that online phase. So, we need to hit across print, outdoor signage, digital, social. We need everything to create that awareness. But then as we go through the launch and into the more now selling phase, that's when we can evolve the campaign and be pretty targeted with what we're doing. So probably drop down to a more online space there with, depending on what markets we've got to tap into. Yeah. We found sort of those owner occupiers respond very well still, and particularly the downsides is to still that print media. So there's still a place for it, but we just got to make sure we've got the right strategy in place for the right project to hit the right audience.
COVID's been a big part of the industry, for the last couple of years, and I've had cancelled events, open houses, online auctions. Everything's changed. Relative to that, as your the way you generate leads, has it changed at all during COVID, or as COVID's become a bigger thing?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually commenced my career in the midst of COVID, and we actually launched quite a few campaigns. And without, I think, that social media and that digital marketing, we wouldn't have been able to generate the leads that we did. So definitely.
And what about you, Shiv?
Yeah, I would say the same. I think because of COVID and the lockdowns, the focus on online marketing and videos was a big focus for us. A lot of video content for property, raw or professional videos as well. I think it really helped us throughout the lockdown periods.
Good question, off topic, but do you think that the behaviours that have been embedded during COVID, the way people look at property, is it here to stay? What do you think?
I think so. even such as online auctions. People love the process. And these days, we are back to on-site auctions, but buyers still would love, to do online auctions, and I at times do still, online and on-site auctions. So yeah, I think people have, they do view properties differently now, and yeah.
And Blake, the effect of COVID, lead gen changed at all? Or?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think to look at that properly, you need to look at what happened in 2020 and then what's happened in 2021 and during the COVID lockdowns. And when we went into the first lockdown, people had no foresight as to where the market was going to go. So they basically just freezed. And a lot of developers just stopped marketing because they didn't know when the end was in sight and whether the buyers were going to be active. And from doing that, the activity slowed. So what we've found now with this recent lockdown in 2020, we convinced our developers to push on through that, and they yielded the results from that. We're still very fortunate in New South Wales to still be able to do private appointments. If they felt uncomfortable, we could do virtual tours. So we're still able to transact virtually or in person, but it was important just to keep pushing through that time. And the market just kept growing month on month in the residential space. So look, I guess we've been forced to change the way that we market. There's been certain publications that have closed down. So we've had to take more of a digital approach than we ever have. But, print media for some audiences is still very relevant, but these definitely, as you guys have mentioned, the video and social media space is critically important now in all campaigns.
Yeah, we'll stay with you for a sec, Blake, talking about inbound leads versus outbound leads. How much is your marketing focuses on inbound versus outbound?
Both are very important. Obviously the inbound campaign is obviously costing our developers money. So we need to really scrutinize the campaign that we're putting in place, making sure the strategy is right to get qualified inquiry, and we're actually converting off that. The outbound, obviously working off people that we've already past purchases, databases, things like that. We need to deliver on that before we go to market and get the inbound campaign coming on. So both are very important. We've really tried to refine the way that we approach our sort of outbound campaign. So looking at different nurture streams with buyers. Buyers now, the time frame for them to purchase, could be anywhere from 4 to 6 months. So from the time they first start researching to coming to that appointment and then actually transacting, it can be some time. So you've got to create different nurture points and engaging content for them.
Yeah. And Shiv, inbound, outbound, residential?
For me, I'd say it's more inbound. In terms of attracting, firstly in terms of attracting seller leads. So I've always been of the view of having that attraction agent model where leads are coming to you because of what you're doing through your results, your social media presence, your community involvement, and that view. In terms of, we still, of course, go through the outbound process as well, and that's through the database, client nurturing process. But I would say for me personally, it's more so inbound rather than outbound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Isabel?
In the commercial space, I'd say that it's quite a bit of outbound in my market as well, just because a lot of property owners or people looking to purchase or sell, you're in contact with because they own multiple. I'd say with more of the project side, it's a bit more inbound because it could be new investors looking, or say tenants that are now looking to own property and become owner occupiers. So a bit of a mixture.
Let's talk social media. So Blake, social media, do you spend more time investing in things like organic search or social media emailing? Where does it sit with you?
So social's important for all of our campaigns, and we always have that live across every development we have in market. I think it's important to just understand what the outcome that we're trying to achieve from the social media. First of all, the paid social, is critically important, but that's, very much an awareness piece. So we've got to look at who we're going out to and when we do it and really work through what the result's going to be there. As we go through the campaign, we need to refine that social, the audiences, so we can make sure we're getting a little bit more targeted inquiry there and can actually report to that. I think as well, often social gets, it's often challenged that it's not going to convert to a sale. So it's an interesting one because we've started tracking the back end in our CRM system and just seeing the different, while someone might come in and say, as an example, I've come in off REA, then as we go back and look at where the various triggers came in, or maybe print or something, they've actually been hit by multiple different sources. So social media definitely plays a role. It's just about having the right message at the right time during the campaign.
Yeah. And Shiv, for you in the residential space, important tool, I would imagine. But paid versus organic, how does that sort of balance with you?
Yeah, I think both, of course, is important. And through paid ads, you'll build that organic, database of people who are, following you and your profiles, whatever else. We focus on definitely, spending the money to attract more clients, if that's, seller leads or buyer leads as well. And I do the same for all of my listings, videos, photos, everything really.
And Isabel?
Depending on the property in the commercial space, so say it's something a little bit larger, similar to Blake, if it's a project, I think it's been quite effective, those, say, native ads, social media, when you actually look back, similar to what you were saying, that they actually saw it scrolling on Instagram, or just it's that awareness piece, but it has taken time to refine. So it's all about, what is our message? Who are we targeting? Is it owner occupiers, investors? And then as well, is it the right demographic? So can we, plug them somewhere else if this property isn't suitable?
Yeah.
So definitely.
I think, customers are the lifeline to any business. I think you'll all agree with that. Blake, talking to you and in your space, customer retention, what sort of strategies do you put around retaining customers? What touch points are in your organisation that you keep that customer engaged with your business?
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned before, even just looking at as buyers come in from a campaign, it may be even anywhere from the average time now we're dealing with is around 3 to 4 months. But, for majority of our purchases which are downsized or owner occupiers, could be up to 6 months plus. So even from that, we have set up, we've got our agents that are connecting with all the inquiries, working through it, but they can't just connect with them without a meaningful phone call, providing a little value add that prospect is going to gain some form of value from that conversation to sort of help them either progress to their, where they want to be in regards to their property search. Beyond that, in regards to our database, we've set up sort of a Collier's Insider, which is basically looking after our past purchases. So with that, it's critically important that we sort of, reward them for being a buyer and almost part of the club. Yeah. So we go to them first before we launch any projects to give them the opportunity to buy in before it goes live to the public. So having that first choice, on any opportunity is critical. And on top of that, just providing different content that's going to be relevant for those buyers at different times and stages of their journey.
And Shiv, for you, the average sort of purchaser in residential might be every 7-10 years, maybe longer. But what's the retention strategy for customers within your business?
So for us, it's it's really being on top of their mind through what we're doing on socials, online, and that presence we have. It's all about building that audience and not so much being in their faces every second of the day, but knowing that you're there if they need your help. But then again, also we'll call them, text them, email them through certain times of the year as well. I personally like to meet each of my previous purchasers once a year as well, just to say hello and keep that connection there with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Isabel, retention for customers?
In the commercial space, it's very similar. Our customers, though, it could be a tenant and say, Amazon, for example, and they're looking, of course, to expand. They need more warehouses for stock because, of course, everyone's online shopping at the moment. And so things like that where we are constantly touching base with them, through marketing, emails, phone calls, and just sharing as well recent market intel, research pieces from CBRE. But we have strategies and methods in place as well.
Talking about leads, and I'll go to you, Blake, we'll go around the circle again, but talking about leads and content that you might use to help generate leads, anything specific that's working for you?
Look, we're really refining, I know everyone does EDMs, but we've been really refining our EDMs, looking at how people engage with them, at what times of day, and also just doing lots of sort of A/B testing, with the EDMs as it goes out. But then if they're also not responding to that, we're looking at how we can target them in other formats as well, whether it be, by direct phone calls, communications with the agents, but also through social media. So it's, it's just understanding how the buyers want to be communicated with and making sure that we connect with them in that way to help benefit them and get them to where they need to be.
And Shiv, leads, content, anything that's working for you?
Yeah, for us, we've got a heavy focus on videos and top quality videos. So we've engaged a a premium media company for all property videos. That's more towards targeting, buyers. In terms of targeting sellers, future sellers, we are doing a lot of agent-related videos to again build that connection, so they don't just see us as agents, but more so as people as well. A lot of content about the team, the office as well, and about the community, of course.
Isabel, any content that's working for you relative to generating leads?
Definitely the digital space is assisting with generating leads. And then it's all about getting into that business, seeing where they're operating from, meeting that client, and definitely having those face-to-face meetings.
I hope that shed some light on the real estate industry and gave you some insight to use in your own business. I'd like to thank our guests for coming in and sharing their knowledge with you today. And if you're looking for extra episodes on the Real Talk podcast, you can jump onto our Agent Marketing Centre, our Development Hub, or where any good podcast platforms are. Again, thank you and for tuning in. Bye for now.